Hey everybody, JCB here at The Awesomeness, and you're watching The Awesomeness YouTube channel. Hey guys, big news from the Six Flags Corporation. Remember back in September when, instead of doing an announcement video where they tell you all the cool new rides coming next year, they kind of just put out a press release saying that there would be no new rides because COVID-19 was screwing over the industry as a whole? Well, they have another announcement that they just made. According to the company's Q3 2020 earnings call transcript, Six Flags plans to remove 15 rides from its overall roster, saying, quote, "Optimizing our rides will save us enough CapEx to fund a new ride every single year. Our park's presidents, engineers, and maintenance teams have studied the performance of each and every ride, calculating the cost against the ride's throughput productivity. We now know which rides to deploy across parks, which rides need to be refurbished, and which can be removed entirely. We are eliminating 15 underperforming rides this year, reducing maintenance costs, and freeing up significant CapEx resources." This could be viewed as both good and bad news. Good news because they are planning on building more rides every year, which is fantastic, but bad news because it does mean they're removing 15 rides, and no matter how crappy a ride is, somewhere out there it has fans. I mean, you just have to look at Green Lantern to know that's the case. Not counting standalone water parks, there are currently 15 Six Flags parks. This has led many to believe that each park will lose one ride, though that's not implicitly stated anywhere in the transcript, so it is possible that some parks may lose more than one ride, while other parks might not lose any. Some have speculated that Magic Mountain will not lose any rides due to the fact that we already lost Green Lantern, and that we're probably losing Tidal Wave to make room for the RMC coaster that permits were pulled for back before the pandemic. But who knows, maybe they're not counting those rides. Maybe we're still up to lose a ride or two or more. Calculating the cost of maintaining and operating a ride against the ride's throughput productivity basically means rides that are expensive to run and maintain, but don't see a lot of riders, are the ones that are in danger of being removed. This criteria eliminates any risk that park favorites like Goliath or Tatsu are on the chopping block. It just doesn't make any sense for them to be. It also kind of eliminates the really expensive but also popular rides such as Superman or X2. Those rides draw a lot of people into the park. And that got me thinking, like, which rides do fit this criteria of expensive to maintain and pretty much unpopular? And which rides would I want the park to essentially remove if I were given the choice? That's a tough call. So here are my top picks for the Six Flags Magic Mountain chopping block. Number 5, Scream. I would say Scream matches that description of expensive and unpopular. This B&M coaster is just starting to show its age, and so nobody really wants to ride it. And it's not showing its age in an operational sense, it just kind of feels outdated from like a thrill level and ride layout perspective. On top of that, it never really got any love from the park. It doesn't have an actual theme of any sort. It was recently repainted and looks really nice, but still doesn't ever seem to draw a crowd. With space for new coasters in high demand at the park, it would make sense to pack up Scream and sell it off to a smaller regional park that would fully appreciate it for what it is. Also, that real estate is one of the first areas that park guests see when they park their car, so it really should be a more robust, newer model roller coaster that can get people excited about being at the park that day. Number 4, Apocalypse. I would be really sad if they removed this ride. My wife and I ride this all the time. It's one of our favorites. We always have a ton of fun, but it does rarely have a line. And when it does, it's usually because it recently broke down and the line just kind of backed up. Additionally, the park seems to retract this coaster constantly. So while the ride isn't as unpopular as Scream, the maintenance costs are probably far higher. Putting any other coaster in the same plot of land would probably draw larger lines and cost less in the long run. Number 3, Jetstream. I actually like this ride. It's a lot of fun. I don't hate it at all, but it has a lot of problems. First of all, it's almost 50 years old and it shows. It just leaks everywhere. It looks really run down and faded. They haven't really done anything to it in a long time. It also tends to break down quite a bit. You'll often see people stuck on the lift hill of this ride. And one time, it actually kind of backed up at the end and our boat started sinking in the back. That was fun. It just hasn't really been treated very kindly over the years. A lot of other parks are also starting to get rid of these aero log flume type of rides. And I don't see any reason why Six Flags Magic Mountain would keep this one around, especially when it doesn't even operate during the colder months of the year. So it's just a huge chunk of land that sits unused for a big chunk of the year. I would not be surprised if this ride gets replaced in the future or removed and the land turned into, I don't know, anything else really. Number 2, the Whistle Stop Train. The Whistle Stop Express is a little kid train ride on the outskirts of Looney Tune Land, pretty close to where Goliath is. You might not know where it is exactly because it's never open. The ride is simple and just travels in an incomplete figure 8 type of layout, but 9 times out of 10, it's broken. It seems to have huge issues operating on hot days, which in California, we have a lot of hot days. So as a result, it's often closed. I will say this isn't a huge footprint, but it could accommodate a more modern, popular kids ride, and in the meantime, the Whistle Stop Express wouldn't be missed because nobody can ever ride it anyway. It would probably take a while before anybody noticed that the ride was missing. Now before we move on, I do want to say that I think this move of Six Flags removing 15 rides is probably a good one. I feel like this is a good direction for the company to go in. It really is kind of a win-win-win. They'll save money in maintenance costs. They might actually make a little money if they sell these rides off to other parks. And in addition to that, they're basically guaranteeing space for future developments, which just makes the parks more modern. These older rides sort of play into the idea that the Six Flags parks aren't well maintained. Personally, I think the parks should also look into removing most of their people movers. I mean, you can keep the trains, but like the helpful Honda Express isn't really all that helpful, especially when you consider how often it too breaks down. And then you have those Skyway buckets at a lot of the parks. They break down all the time, often leaving people stranded in the middle of the air, which is super uncomfortable for them and frustrating for anybody who wants to ride that but can't because it's broken down. They're just constantly breaking, and I feel like you would eliminate the insurance issues, you'd eliminate a lot of the frustration of park guests, and you would also just basically update the park as a result. Like, it just wouldn't seem so broken down and unmaintained when you don't have things breaking down because they're poorly maintained. Anyway, let's move on to number 1, Viper. You all saw it coming. It was the first ride that came to mind when I read that the company was looking to remove 15 expensive and unpopular rides. These Aero Loopers have been disappearing from every other theme park in the world, so why not Viper? Viper is old, Viper is painful to ride, and because of that, it never has a line. Yet it sits on a big chunk of prime real estate that could be used for a much better ride. Viper is by far the best candidate for removal from Six Flags Magic Mountain. In fact, Six Flags, if you're watching this, and I know you are, I'm gonna make you a special 2-for-1 deal right now. If you remove Viper, you can have Whistle Stop Express as well. That's 2 rides that allow you to save a potentially popular ride at another park. But wait, there's more. Act now, and you can also remove Wonder Woman Lasso of Truth. That's 3 rides in addition to Green Lantern and probably Tidal Wave, I'm assuming it's already gone. How about the Flash? How about Scrambler? Maybe Swashbuckler and Buccaneer as a pair. I'll treat them all as long as you start with Viper. Also, I am available, if you'll have me, to swing the very first ceremonial sledgehammer. Anyway, what did you think of my list? Which rides would you put on the chopping block? Let me know down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, keep being awesome. Though you're not screaming in fear so much as in pain. This Woody is so rough it feels like it's being shaken inside of a broken washing machine. One drop in particular caused my lower back to shift forward while it forced my shoulders back, resulting in a ton of pain. You can actually hear my reaction right here.